And we're live. Hello and welcome to another week of talking about crypto, Hex, PulseChain, all the good stuff. I'm Matty Allen with Crispy Man of Hexfire.io and Fast Abdul. Welcome.
Hey guys. Been a big day.
Hello. What do you mean big day? What's the big day? What's that about?
Number go up, man. Green candles.
Where?
All over PulseChain in particular.
I haven't seen any green candles.
Ink went up to like $2.10 today or something like that. It's just under $2 right now. $1.94. What did it hit? Yeah, $2.12.
Make sure
a good day to be in crypto, huh?
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, going back, I think I might have mentioned it last week. I do think I did. Last week, a week ago, well, we weren't on last week where we first show, but I had mentioned it to other people last week. We did get a buy signal on Pulse last week, and Pulse is up from about a week ago. In USD terms, it's up 61%. So I guess these buy signals work sometimes.
Yeah.
We also had gotten an ETH buy signal at the same time.
There could be a correlation there.
Yeah. I like it.
Did you guys see the post about Richard Hart's wallet not being listed amongst the largest ETH wallets when he's actually like number 2 or something?
Oh, the one from the ETH Foundation?
Yeah, what's that?
Who is that from?
The ETH Strategic Reserve.
Oh, okay. Is that part of the ETH Foundation or something else?
I don't know. Yeah, Richard posted about it, and the guy from said place responded to him saying, "Hey, we'll fix that." So,
good. Oh, really?
They will do so. Yeah. He responded directly to his post, and that's appropriate. It was the guy, so it's good.
Is it because Richard showed his face again?
Good chance. But
the redemption.
I bet it's more about the SEC.
The redemption arc is here.
The redemption. That's right. The redemption arc. Now we still probably have a
actually doing something like we say that's not fair, and then they actually fix it. Whoa! Celebration.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Well, this is a story. We probably need another 14 or so climaxes before we get to the final climax.
I think this kind of service is where we can expect, though. I think we're going to start to be able to like highlight problems like, hey, why isn't PulseChain on here? And people will be like, oh, so sorry, we'll fix that.
Oh, so sorry.
I think that is the future.
Right. Well, didn't Hexologist post like how to get listed on Coinbase or something? You just fill out a form and see what happens.
I think he said he filled it out himself.
Yeah, a lot of people have done that in the past. I think he's done that in the past, not just now. Hexologist, that is.
But yeah, people can actually do stuff. They don't have to just yap on Twitter. They can press the buttons, fill out the forms themselves.
Yeah, I look up to people who take action like that. I think those are everyday heroes.
Indeed. Wouldn't it be great to be the guy who got the claim like I got PulseChain listed on Coinbase or wherever? That would be fantastic.
Bragging rights.
I was working on that with Jesse Powell. Yeah, but like he never checks his messages. I don't know. Like the actual listing on Kraken is they basically want a bunch of essays. So maybe that's what we point the AI at next.
Yeah,
because I looked at the questions on that, and it was not just like, what does it do? Like, they want to know everything. They want to know about the whales, the liquidity, justifications for everything. But that's all doable. I saw a new version of Grok come out last night that I used for hours called Super Grok, which is still Grok 3. but I was using my desktop and it looked way different than usual, and it did way different stuff than usual. It was a new format.
Nice.
So
can you
I
train?
don't even know like the availability of that, but
can you train
yeah.
sub-groks, like your own little sub-groks, to be very specific, or not?
I really don't know the answer to that question. That's something that future us would probably know. Just like he just reads really broadly. Like, and you know, I don't know. I wish Richard could respond to like tweets or something, because you know he reads all those Wired articles and everything all the time.
Yeah.
Going deep on like the chat forums.
Remember when he used to give us advice on what keyboards to use? Those were the days.
Right. But yeah, he still does so much like with tweeting and everything. So, and with his latest video. So yeah, I'm excited about Richard's redemption arc and people actually treating the Pulse and Hex community more fairly. Yeah, that's big ups.
Yep. The carrot or the stick, people. I think he did have some, you know, veiled threats in the past, you know, saying stuff like, if they don't do it for us, we'll do it ourselves type thing, right? There was some speculation. What is that about, right? Like, is it like we're going to make our own centralized exchange? Because we know the second biggest ETH holder, apparently. So it could be a thing.
Yeah, I mean, RH always seems to actually move rather than speak. He moves like in just in time type of stuff, like you know, just in time security, but it's just in time like implementation. So, you know, like, yeah, like if Infura stops like doing its job, somebody has to do that, right? Like you always have to have, I guess, and that's with like on ramps. It's particularly interesting because you know Richard says we'll do it ourselves. Well, who's we? Is it the entire decentralized community like Coast, which I guess has been kicking ass lately?
Indeed.
And then what does that mean? I mean, I don't know that. But do you guys know anything about like reading into Richard's latest tweets? Like, what would you predict in terms of like, if the gates don't open, what happens next?
Well, we could do like P-Dye style conspiracy theory and fill in the blanks with things he didn't say. But if we go off the things he did say,
come on, make something
clip that,
up, please.
Yeah, clip that.
But from what he did say, like it sounds to me like you know, he's still moving and shaking. He wants things to happen. I remember it wasn't that long ago he did that post about like charities that talked about immutable code and open source code. I felt like that was a tip off. I thought that was his advertising plan, perhaps. I'm reading into that a little bit.
Oh, I mean, are you? Because like you just joked about PDI, which is like reading into things illogically and psychotically, but when it comes to that particular mission of like setting up what is it, like it's basically what the same thing Aubrey does, like 501c3 foundation. And
I'm serious. I'm not joking. I think this is legit.
That seems like very direct, like that. Hey, you know, in the normal wording that we expect of like decentralization, you know, if you're decentralized, you don't go tell people what to do, you suggest it. Like a commune basically, except on the internet.
Sure. Like communism, except for everybody gets paid based on how much they work.
Remember, I'm a psychologist, and so I've actually visited like the one of the most famous communes called Walden 2. It was set up by a famous behavioral psychologist, Skinner, and he wrote a book that describes something, and it still exists in Missouri, called East Wind. And it's like a whole society of people that just like make peanut butter and like, you know, just live in harmony without anybody telling them what to do. So
Peanut butter balls. I like Buckeyes. You're down there, right? Buckeyes.
But like, yeah, like Hex is a lot like that, where people just, get to contribute as much or as little as they want, and people rise to the occasion.
I like that in theory, but in practice, for actual business purposes of promoting something, some centralization seems like it would be nice. It's nice when there's a boss. It's nice when there's money.
Maybe you guys can tell me like how the RH Max conference went, because I have I've been working around the clock on this new job, and I honestly just like to hear how'd it go.
Pretty good. It wasn't as busy as your conferences. There weren't as many people, and it was shorter, but like everybody showed up and it was smooth, and it was generally speaking pretty upbeat. Like I'd say it was an upbeat time, not necessarily because of the conference, but just because it was an upbeat time. But people seemed to be pretty happy, and they were happy for just more, right? And there were actually quite a few mentions of the official PulseChain conference that you host as well during that event. So I think people are just ready for more PulseChain all the time.
That's great to hear. Yeah. And I guess Richard kind of making a coincidental appearance. That's pretty cool.
Richard making a coincidental appearance? Sorry,
he did his stream shortly around around that time.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. That's really cool.
It was good, man. He put out that request saying, "Hey, should I record something?" And I said, "Yeah, it'd be great if you did it right this minute." So,
and then he kind of did, yeah.
I don't know if that helped, but I like it.
I never connected those dots in my head that he did that at that time. It just didn't click. But yeah, you're right. That's what happened.
Right. Yeah. So I just put on some 9inch.io sunglasses.
Yeah.
And those were given out at the last PLS 369 conference that was held by the Discourse Syndicate group, the PulseChain tour group. So shout out to them too, everybody out there putting all this stuff together. I dig it.
I didn't get any glasses, man. I was there.
I missed that one.
Damn.
At the golfing part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's a big bag of them. There's also an aubergine. Is that what it's called? I don't know. There were
did you say aubergine? Is it aubergine? Is that what you're saying?
Anyway, well, I was just about to say they've been working me like a dog, and I'm starting to lose my voice, and so I was gonna let you guys take over the show, and I really appreciate you guys always showing up.
No problem, man. We can do it.
Cool. Right on. Well, I will catch you guys next time. And until then, stick wisely and listen to these two guys. Peace.
Thanks, Matty. And then there were two. So I started back at jiu-jitsu last week after about a year off. It was pretty terrible. Are you with me, Crispy? And then there was one. Okay. So people of the audience, if you have any questions or comments, I will entertain anything. I'll look things up. I don't think I can share things unless somebody else shows up here, but whatever goes. But I'm pretty stoked today about how the market is doing in general. Ink was fantastic. It's down to $1.91 now, which is still fantastic, but it pumped to $2.12. And it wasn't that long ago where we go back to $1.07, like at the beginning of the month. So there's a huge bump on Richard Hart tokens. I saw a link that said that 555 ETH was bridged onto the chain today, which is cool. And previous to that, I believe it was 55 ETH was bridged on. So I wonder if the next one's going to be 5555 ETH bridged onto the chain, which is enough to make a pretty fantastic bump. Okay, McSlamming is asking for speculation on Alex's V2 and what that will include. Well, Mr. McSlamming, that would be utter speculation because Alex has released very little details. But from what I understand and from what he's posted in the past, going back to 2023 in the ICOSA Telegram room, Alex talked about how he would bring the hexes together. So it was like there would be some sort of interoperability between chains. And then just from how the ICOSA project works, it's basically the concept where you can take your hex stakes, tokenize them, and sell them to the ICOSA contract. But ICOSA has to hit a certain price. So if he can restart those, the auctions that would allow people to basically make a Quattrocinco stake as an NFT and then sell it to the contract for ICOSA and then use that as an arbitrage, it will result in a lot of hex being staked for 15 years. So I wish him luck on that, though he's given out so few details that it's hard to say exactly what would happen. Though he did say that people would have a choice in the past. So you'd be able to stay with ICOSA V1 or convert to ICOSA V2. Presumably that would encompass Hedron as well as ICOSA, as well as the WhatsApp NFTs. Still waiting for my monkey pictures on those. They're supposed to get pictures, but I haven't seen them yet. But hey, this is where it's at. Next question, please. But market-wise, we're doing fantastic. So, like Ethereum, $2,700 a hit today. What is it right now? 2674. That's still looking very good by comparison. We're still a long ways off of a new all-time high on Ethereum, but like the $4,000 Ethereum is starting to feel like, yeah, that could happen. And we all know that that's the break-even point for Richard Hart. I feel like that could be meaningful for all of us if Ethereum gets to that break-even. Though the ratio of Ethereum to PulseChain from the time of when that purchase was made at around $4,000 is still pretty good right now for Pulse. So it'd actually be a better deal now to deploy that Ethereum onto the Pulse chain as far as how much Pulse you would get than it would be in the future. So definitely something there. So we got Brizology in the chat. Check your DMs, Mr. Brizology. Do I like Actuator? Yeah, I really like Actuator. I can't go into a huge in-depth conversation. Maybe we can have Bill come on to explain that at some point. But it's basically, in its way, it is ICOSA V2. It's a different way to look at it. It's tokenizing your future yield of hex stakes, and it gives you great farming opportunities. So on their app, which I believe is actuator.finance, but I'm going to double check that, you could actually mint HTTs, which is basically like a future hex stake, 3,000, 6,000, and 3,000, 5,000, and 7,000. That's hex day, not days in the future. Yep, actuator.finance. And then once you mint those HTTs, which you do by with hex, there's an opportunity to farm HTTs against hex, which is effectively farming hex against hex, though there are some dynamics there that make it so that it's not like, it is not an exact one-for-one. It's going to be a little bit more volatile than that. But yeah, I definitely think Actuator is something that's locked up a lot of hex since it's been launched. I hope they launch it on Ethereum because I think that would be fantastic. Actually, it would definitely work over there as well. Maybe even ETHW. Hex on ETHW is still a thing. It is probably not the best hex, but people are still staking hex on ETHW, and you can actually use the ICOSA front end to do so. Last time I checked, which is kind of fun. Let's take a look at some recent Richard Hart tweets. So Richard mentioned today that there's been some compromised front ends in crypto, the Curve front end, which is kind of a big deal because that's probably the biggest like place to sync stablecoins on the blockchain is Curve was compromised. So with like some sort of drainer, this should not affect the Pulse chain, which is why I posted it. Also, something to do with ZK Sync, which I think is one of those privacy ones, privacy layer. Their Twitter was compromised. Of course, when a protocol's Twitter is compromised, there's a huge security risk, even though Twitter can't reach into your wallet, but they can post something that you think is official that, would cause you to click a link. So I think he's emphasizing that this is not happening with Hex and PulseX, Pulse, the things that he's launched on PulseChain. Hopefully it's not happening with anything on PulseChain. I would encourage everyone, even if you're not a founder right now, turn on two-factor authentication on Twitter and things like that. You want like an extra layer, so they can't just hack one thing. They have to actually have your cell phone and get the code or whatever the two-factor authentication thing is that you need. Just make it harder for hackers to get your stuff, because once they get one piece, they can start to get another piece of the puzzle. So TX says, do you think RH is still planning to launch a wallet or maybe an exchange? As far as the wallet goes, I'm curious. I think, he's definitely interested in it. He's talking about it. He could have done it already. He could have the code. A wallet, however, is like an ongoing thing. It's not like, it is not a mutable code. It's like, it's a Web3 thing. It's on the internet. You have to upgrade it with like every time that, like the Brave browser or the Edge browser or the Chrome browser comes up with an upgrade, you have to, apply something to your wallet for people to interact with. It's may or may not be something that he does in the end. What I would actually like to see is him launch something that was a plugin for a wallet that any wallet in the world could, any wallet company could plug into, that would give all the data for PulseChain that people want, like DBank that we're missing now. But if they could have an actual feed of all the PulseChain data that we used to have with DBank that any wallet could go into. So it could be like MetaMask, Rabby, whoever, wouldn't have to spend the money, wouldn't have to spend the resources to pull that data themselves. They could just have a button where people could add that app into the wallet. And I think something like Internet Money, which is kind of the darling wallet of the PulseChain, they could adopt that extremely quickly, and there would be huge benefits for everybody. As far as the centralized exchange goes, I'm actually super bullish on that idea. I think RH should launch his own centralized exchange. I know in the past he's said centralized exchange is bad and so on and so forth. That's fine, but they serve a purpose, and he surely understands that. And if they're bad, maybe there's some problems that could be fixed there. They are an excellent onboarding tool, like an easy way to get on and off. Now, we've all heard the saying, use centralized exchanges like a porta potty, get in and out as quick as you can. And maybe that could be part of the theme. Maybe it'd just be something people move through. Now, of course, we have things like Coast and stuff like that on the Pulse chain, but something that would bring in the customers right now that are using things like Binance, they're using things like Coinbase, where they could come in and maybe they could have DeFi light in a centralized way, where it actually would have a larger DeFi component than, let's say, Binance, but it would be more user-friendly than, our current Pulse chain scenario, where you have to be, semi-expert to bridge on and off the chain, or that's how it feels some days, though, of course, we're all jaded to that now. So Brazology says, people need a reliable place to convert their fiat money into Pulse chain assets at a centralized website. Yeah, exactly that. And it has to be like cross-border, right? Because we have everybody's got their own solution for where they live. Like I'm in Canada and I'm not using the same one as most of you guys. And it's it's very, very dependent on your situation. But if there was something where, okay, if you can get on here, you can get onto Pulse chain, it would be a very easy way to make it so that people could immediately, jump from the centralized chain onto Pulse chain, and it could have a wallet onboarding utility right on the centralized exchange. So you could bring them in with the centralized format, but then incentivize them. Be like, oh, you want to make the big money on the farms? Okay, press this button, download your wallet, copy, write down your seed phrase, do all the things, right? So if he was going to launch a wallet, if he launched it in with the concept of a centralized exchange, like something that could really bring the masses to PulseChain, that would be pretty cool. And the marketing would be fantastic, right? Especially with those huge ETH bags, like it's, it would be something that like people would notice. It would make the news. Mixed, aka Just Soul, says, what community? Not sure what you're talking about here. We're the best community there is. Not on the show today. I'm all by myself. But PulseChain in general, we rock. We're everywhere. We're kind of scary sometimes. It's cool. So I was pretty stoked about the ink price today. Ink printer, my project with a liquidity fork that uses ink as collateral. Man, that really pumped the collateral level inside the protocol up over $5 million. It's only about 2 months old, not even. And yeah, there's already $5.41 million worth ink locked in the protocol. I think we're about 5.5% of all ink or something to that effect has been put in there and minted into ink dollars, which are holding pretty strong right now. So very, very happy with the results so far. Yeah. Hey, Tam, thanks for showing up. But yeah, the bottom line today, though, is that, like we've had like some green candles on PulseChain. Like, of course, when you have a big green day where everything is up 30, 40%, like it is today, you're going to be in a situation where tomorrow, maybe some things are going to be down 5%. So it might look like a red day. But as far as the week, the month, and I think the quarter, like PulseChain is going to look real hot, in my opinion. Things are definitely coming along. We have some big projects launching. We have some big, big news as far as the SEC dropping Richard Hart's case, getting beat by Richard Hart, hands down. And I think we're looking at a scenario where we'll probably see him streaming, sometime in June when their 60-day appeal limit is reached and they can't appeal at all. That would be pretty cool. Yeah. Any more questions from the audience? I really wasn't super prepared to do a solo today, but as long as I'm here, what's everybody's favorite meme coin? I am partial to most right now. I'm not a meme coin guy at all, but that one, okay, it was probably launched by Richard Hart or an entity very close to him, so that's cool. It was launched using a platform. It has burnt liquidity from the launch, and it seems to have very large adoption. I think that one's going to be hot. Crypto Coffee I think it was Crypto Coffee. He seems to talk about it a lot. It seems like it's his darling. Launched Top Hat. That's up 20% today as well. I haven't looked too closely at that, but hey, it is looking pretty juicy as far as that goes. The other one on my list is Pump, which is, again, Richard Hart launched when Pump.Tires was launched. And like it has the name right in it. Like, so the token's name is Pump. The website is Pump.Tires. And when you go to it on Desk Screener, it has the link right to the website there. Like the logo is like Pump.Tires, Richard Hart beside a tire. So as far as advertising goes, all he'd have to do to advertise that is pump the price, make green candles, and people would end up on that Desk Screener page. And, they would, good chance they click on that website and they end up on Pump.Tires. Oh, Crispy, you're back. Thank God.
I'm AI. This is AI.
Oh,
I'm not really here. Yeah, man. Right. Maddie's like, hey, I'm going to leave the show for a little bit because whatever, blah, blah. And I like clicked off, right? Lost power. Generators came on, had to wait for the internet to spool back up,
I know the feeling.
But I'm back. I hear you taking questions.
I was. Yeah.
All the regular people out here.
Yeah, no, thankfully the regular people were feeding me the questions to fill the space.
Helping you out. Yeah.
I'm going to disappear from the screen for a sec because I have to plug something in. I don't have very many ports on my computer, but I am still here. All right, guys.
Guys, drop questions in there, man. Drop them in the chat. We're going to go off script. We can talk about anything we want to talk about. There's no Maddie. We pretty much do that anyways, right?
That's true.
We pretty much did anyways.
Yeah, I was talking about meme coins. I was talking about centralized exchanges. all kinds of
Yeah,
things.
I love my meme coins. You know.
You do.
No, I don't. No, I got a couple, but yeah. You know, I think pumped out tires. You know, you know, for a segment of the market is something to be promoted, right?
Yep.
You know what I don't like about it is for it to be successful, and you know how I talk about wearing different hats. You know, it's kind of hard for me, even though I have different hats that I'm wearing. It's like, damn. I mean, what is the whole meme coin thing about? It's about pumping and dumping, man. I mean, yes, there is a scenario where somebody uses pumped out tires, and they create a really good token, and you know it maybe gets some use, you know, long term. I mean, all that's possible, but we can see what happens, right?
Yeah. Well,
People
like some meme coins
race.
become a store of value, like that. You know, 0.01% of meme coins end up being a store of value, and you have like Doge or whatever that has its own chain. But that's not the future for most of them. That's for sure.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, and most and Pump and a couple of the other ones, maybe they have legs long term, but otherwise, right? Even so, if I put my Pump That Fund hat on, right, and we're talking about Pump That Tires, yes, there is an angle to get in front of a whole bunch of people, but basically, what you're doing is you're trying to get as many people come DJing into that as possible in order to promote it, knowing that it's going to rocket and probably go down twice as fast.
Yeah.
Right? And so
and that's
then
kind of part of crypto, but it's I don't like it. I prefer the utility things that actually do something. That's for sure.
Yeah, but goddamn, don't we participate in some of those sometimes, don't we?
Yeah.
That's what's terrible about this, right? Because I know the best thing for me is to not do that, right? Not get involved in that, and then you know this is another one of these things about how do you actually promote PulseChain? How do you thread the needle, man? Because if I'm coming at it from the strict, hey, yeah, I got my mindset lined up with what Richard's talked about, you know, long-term gratification. Even then, right, we're still dependent on value exchange in hands and getting stored on chain.
Well, we
So how do
can have our own camps, right? Like one person doesn't have to promote all of PulseChain. Like, you know, I'm not a big B Roots follower as far as his calls go, but like he serves a purpose, right? Like he's bringing the DJs.
B Roots,
yeah.
Shout out.
And he's got that excitement and the you know, he's got the meme coins cornered there. So like good for him. That's fine. We got RH Max in the audience, and he just talks about PulseChain and hacks, and that does not promote meme coins, right? Like it's different strokes for different folks.
True that. Yeah, it's just so hard, right? You know, we talk about this stuff. I mean, I say it's hard, but that's not the right word. Yeah, it is very difficult for us to be doing you know, doing a centralized approach, right? Because this is DeFi, you know. And so, yeah, I think that's where we're left with is, hey, you know what? If there's somebody listening right now, they're really into meme coins and they want to play the DeFi casino game with meme coins, and that they should be pumping the hell out of Pump That Tires, right? Attract as many people using whatever the game rules are for that, and do it, man. Just do it. But that's not going to be me, you know. It's going to be, like you said, it'll be something else, just like you're doing your thing, you know. So.
Yep. And I'm going to keep doing my thing. I'm going to probably launch more stuff that does stuff, because I think that's what we need, is that infrastructure. You know, like meme coins have their own infrastructure. Like obviously Pump.Tires is infrastructure for meme coins, but you know, once people make money on meme coins, they need stable coins. And so, you know, I'm interested in stable coins right now. I think I'm going to keep working on that.
Mm. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. Pretty damn useful, to tell you the truth, right? For TradFi, man, it makes perfect sense. If you're in TradFi and you can get past the idea of being involved in crypto, right? You get past that, and it makes perfect sense. Like it's like a no-brainer. Come in and provide liquidity, right? And earn your 10, 20, 40%. per
on
year
stablecoins.
on the stables. Why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah,
Because
totally.
I'm thinking there's opportunity for fees and whatnot for them, because they'd be able to come in and do it. So yeah, I could see that for sure.
Like on
Um,
Ink Printer right now, it's paying almost 28% for single-sided staking of like the Ink dollar, right? Like if from a TradFi perspective, like 28% is insane, right? Like
yeah. Now, how is that working? Is that paid in print, or are you talking through redemptions?
it's paid in print. That doesn't include it wouldn't be redemptions, it would be liquidations that would pay
Oh,
that portion.
liquidations.
So, and honestly, we're unlikely to see a lot of liquidations with the price pumping like this. I think
Yeah, of
these
course.
liquidity forks are going to be really good for almost no liquidations, as long as the price keeps,
For a while, yeah.
moving steadily up. Because it's the dips that make the liquidations, and we're just not seeing the collateral ratio is 544% for the protocol right now, because of the pump today. It went up like 150%. So
Nice.
not a terrible thing.
Nice. All right. We need. Too bad Bruce didn't answer you. You could tell us when $1,000 ink.
$1,000 ink would be a thing. Yeah.
When?
I can't give
Yeah,
an exact number.
Yeah, I don't have my I have my glasses, but they're just reading glasses today. So the same ones I wore last time. They give me a headache if I try to wear them when I do that. Oh, what do you mean? You're talking about Fast Abdul and Tubbs? Yeah, I remember that movie. I think it was a movie, right?
Fast Where's Tubbs? I don't get the reference.
That's all right. All right. Oh yeah. So Bruce is saying November $25,000. Yeah, this is a good.
Okay.
This is a good topic. November 2025. Bruce is saying not a guarantee, but that ink might be at $1,000. But it might be the top. Miami Vice. There you go. Tubbs.
Right. Yeah.
Got a mantra. Yeah, that's so old. That's even old for me, man.
Indeed.
Miami Vice. Hey, we're talking about this one of the other chats, and I know that. Let me preface this by saying, yes, I know this time is different, right? But we are coming up, this year, at the 4-year end of cycle based on the normal end of cycle in the November-December timeframe. So, guys, be ready for everything, anything. Be ready for the music ends, and be ready for you get another year, and be ready for something we can't figure out, but just be prepared, right? For the idea that things may change quite a bit,
Yeah, it's human nature to think that things will continue as they are. So if it's going up, it will always go up. But yeah, not necessarily the case.
No, definitely not with crypto. And also, this stuff can get pretty crazy. I think you were mentioning it while I was offline. I was listening on my phone. This could be this kind of action daily could be what you see for a while, right? And then people get freaked out. That's kind of what happens in Super Bowls, right? And people get freaked out when you have the one day that's a 50% drop, or a 30% drop, but then the green candles come back, and it just becomes like this cycle for a little bit until you get to euphoria, because that's the that's the mousetrap, right?
Yep.
Spin it until you get there, and then blow off top. Now, I've heard people talking about 4 years invalid now, right? Okay, that's possible. Also talking about no blow off tops anymore. Not gonna have any blow off tops. Not like we were able to identify them before. So, so I don't know, but we'll be watching, right? And so it's not really about numbers. I joked about the $1,000 ink. It's not really about the number, right? It's about managing yourself and your stuff, right, to get whatever it is that you want, done during this particular cycle. And if you don't want a round trip, you better figure out what your plans are, right? Write them down.
Yeah, fair enough. I think the concept that this time is different is a little bit dangerous, but you're right about, like, we won't have as much of a blow off top in crypto like every cycle as we did in the past, right? Like I think as normies come in, as financial institutions come in, and we get general global adoption, what you'll see is like a lessening of that curve, less spikes, less dips. It'll probably be more stable in general. But there is still a lot of adoption to come, right? Like it's not like 50% of the world has their own crypto wallet right now or something like that. We're still a niche product by comparison to the American dollar. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. Well, I've told this story before, and other people have observed that the ones that have been around for a while, this thing about this narrative about the 4-year cycle being different this time. Yeah, okay. I can definitely agree that things could change, right? So I'm not going to say they won't change, but understand if I'm looking to sell before you and I'm using my voice to come out and tell everybody, oh, don't worry about it, guys. This is going into 26 so that I can sell in 25. That's a thing. Right? I'm not doing that, but what I'm saying is that's a thing. And the same thing with the crypto influencers coming out and saying, we're going to $1 million, we're going to 2 million, we're on Bitcoin, 500,000, right? Yeah, it could happen. When, I don't know, but the 240 call that Richard made is probably more accurate than anything. That, anyways, my opinion, but he might be wrong too. He's been wrong about other stuff, but it's pretty unlikely, and so that we're going to hit 500 with Bitcoin, and so you compound this. This is like a replay for me. Yeah. If I'm thinking back to December of 21. Where I'm like following along and everything. I'm like, yeah, it looks like this is over, right? And everybody around me is like, nah, this time's different, Chris. It's different. It's different. Bitcoin's still going to go up to 100,000. It's going to go to 100,000 before this is over, and this time's different. We're not going to see the same kind of cycle. But you know what we saw? The same kind of cycle. Yeah. By the end of January, it was over. We were all wishful, and by March, you already knew. We got past the Hedron launch. We already knew. We were like, no, I guess we're going down. And then we were just like, I don't know. I'm really speaking for myself. Bare knuckling it. Hex not going to go below 10 cents. Never go below 10. Hex will never go below 5 cents. They'll never go below a penny. But of course, you know where we are now, right? So, anyways, I'm just saying. I'm saying, guys, don't get all wound up into this stuff. Figure out what you need to do. Because it's a long 15-year cycle, man. Hex, anyways. The whole thing goes that way. But
yeah, that's the nice thing about the staking is, once you stake, you don't have to think about it, or at least that portion of your bags. I don't have all my bags staked, so I'm still thinking about it. But there's something there.
Let's see. What do we got? We got here in the chat. We got questions.
We do.
From now on, Jay's soul is called Steph. Let's go ahead and we'll just call him Steph. That's what he said. This was interesting. This happened overnight too, right? So Macho was talking about this. Man, I've been hearing people talk. I don't listen to a lot of the crypto channels anymore outside of PulseChain. But, oh, man, have they been just hammering on BTC dominance? It's going to double. It's going to go up. I mean, I don't even know how it doubles, but how it could double. But, it's just going to go up. And all of a sudden this week, right?
It took a huge hit.
Yeah,
like
last
it went
week.
From...
Yeah, but it's so damn predictable, ain't it? Because you think about this, right? The whole thing was a ploy, right? Was it intentional? I don't know exactly that. But, 2 weeks ago, ETH's going down. It's never coming back. It's dead, right? As this week, the dominance is shifting and ETH is up, and that's kind of crypto, right? You can't really depend on these ideas or thoughts.
True.
That just because a bunch of people start saying it's going to happen,
You never know the motivation of the people who are telling you that, right? Like it's definitely they could have a horse in the race, and if they want to sell, so they want you to keep pumping it. But as far as the dominance goes, like there is a huge dip. Like it went from like 53, 54 ETH per BTC, and it's like 38 something now, right? So that's like that's a meaningful.
Yeah. Well, look, somebody took the trade, man. Right. I mean, that's what's going on. I mean, you know, they used to call it the flippering back in 13 and 15. At least I think that was a real terminology. And the whole, and I guess maybe might not have been 13, but after Ethereum launched, they were calling it the flippering, where basically people were trading ETH to Bitcoin, you know, on ratio. And the objective was 100% to market make and to acquire more Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin would pump, sell a little bit, it would dump, right? They buy back. But they were using ETH, you know, to do it. Yep, Spicy Loops, good day to you too. Good day. Johnny Chaos is in the chat. Consistency bias is real. It is.
Yep, human nature.
Among a whole bunch of other biases that are out there.
And even if you know that it's like, you know that like this is a thing, you'll still feel it. It's just how it is.
It does.
Get used to the status quo.
Yeah, and I'm not sidestepping you, Spicy, on the good die. The only one that knows anything about that is Maddie. So he's not here, so I can't really speak to it.
True. I also feel unqualified.
I've
kind of boycotted dyes in general. I just
die.
I stopped dying. There's no more dying in my diet.
Macho likes to blow his top. All right, that's good. Let's see. Oh yeah. This is a good one. Eddie says, you have an admirer. Eddie says that DCC likes you fast.
I like DCC. I went for supper with him in Vegas. Him and Maddie and Zenith. Yeah,
I think I actually heard his stream where he said that. He was like, cool. "Oh, you know that guy fast. He's good. He's a nice guy."
I'm gonna dig that up and clip it because he's a legit dude.
Oh, you know where I might have heard it? We do the Thursday night cigar streams now, which you can come by. You can come by and vape one time if you want, but then we'll kick you out because you can't vape and smoke cigars at the same time. Anyway, so he came by last week and was on, him and Charlie. And while I'm on that with I'm on there with Triplet Dad and RG3, and so we're doing really light crypto. We're not talking about crypto a lot, but we do talk about crypto. But we talked about a lot of crypto with those guys. They were there talking about it. Briz is saying he is excited. I'm excited for the bull run. While I have validators. Are your validators going somewhere? I don't know. Maybe you're going to keep them. I don't know. And then saying this is
going to pay him is what he figures. There's going to be a lot of traffic. There's going to be a lot of bribes for validators coming through the system. I think that's what he's thinking.
Now, we do have 3. Validating is fairly straightforward, but it is not an easy button. But we have the technology to be able to do it, and you can do it. But what you could also do is we have 3 different protocols you can go out, and you already mentioned one of them, I think, a few moments ago.
Liquid staking forks,
Yeah, liquid staking forks. All 3 have different profiles and different risk sets, and they have different custodial models, right? They're all different, just slightly different, and they all pay rewards in Pulse. And you're basically what you're doing is you're staking your Pulse in there, and that's the Pi. That's one of them, the Pi project, right?
Project Pi,
Project Pi, and those guys are out of Atlanta, and then out of the incubator down there, and then you got Jexa with Vouch VPulse. So the first one's staked Pulse STPLS, I believe.
STPLS, yeah.
And then the second one is VPLS. And then you have the Validator X guys doing Validator X with the UPulse. And kind of matches
that. Was doing fairly well. It's price-wise, UPulse is the highest. I think they boast the highest APRs, but there are advantages and disadvantages to all of them. For example, with UPulse, which is doing the highest APR right now, it takes you, I believe, 48 hours, I think it is, 2 days to get the UPulse in your wallet after you enter it into their system. Whereas with VPulse, it's immediate, right? Like you put Pulse into the vouch protocol, and you immediately receive VPulse in your wallet, right? So just depends what your motivation is. Why are you doing that, right? Why do you want to participate? But all of them are a hell of a lot easier than running a validator. And if you don't have the time or you don't have the technical expertise, yeah, you can either use them to mint their Pulse representative tokens, or you could just market buy those if they're on sale. And that's what I do. I watch for them to be on sale, and I buy them when there's a discount because I know they're redeemable for Pulse.
Yeah, 100%. I've seen that a couple times. Yeah, because there are times where things, quote unquote, get out of whack, right? And there's ARB opportunities there. I saw that in Coast. There was that happened for Coast for a while, man. You could buy Coast at 70 cents on the dollar.
Well, that was a little different because they went through a period of time where they didn't have a banking partner, right? And so it was like it required some faith on behalf of the user to buy it at 70 cents, right? Like there wasn't like a buy it at 70 cents to redeem it for $1 right now option at that time. But now, like there still are opportunities with Coast, but it's just best,
it was the best $20 I ever made, man.
That is quite a deal.
It was the best $20 I ever made. That's good. You know, on the I noticed this pool on 2Fox. I think you must be the one that created it. That actually has all three of those liquid staking protocol tokens along with Pulse.
Yep.
Do you have that? And so, guys, there's people that there's not a lot of demand right at the moment, volume-wise, for these tokens, but there could be in the future as the network builds. But what people have been doing is pairing up the liquid staking tokens, and they're both the tokens. If you're doing like a V2. They're both increasing in value against Pulse, but they're also able to trade back and forth and increase in value against themselves. And so when there is trading, you can add a little bit of a premium, but it's all still worth Pulse, right? So there's some people experimenting with that. I've done one like that for a while, you know, like Vouch and UPulse on a V3. And it does like 7% APR, which isn't like over the top, you know. But remember, the UPulse is already doing double digits, and
exactly. This one you're talking about is doing 7.47%, and that's without any votes going to it yet. Like there's no fucks or 2Fox in that. That's just swap fees of 7.47% on top of whatever gains those tokens are making inside the pair. So I think it's an okay concept to farm things that are pulse against pulse, because as you know, impermanent loss at this time and what I believe to be the bull market is something you really want to avoid. And I think pools like that, where you're farming assets that are basically the same thing against each other, that should move up or down together, that could be a big win.
Yeah, I mean, now that the farms have been down, I don't even have any PulseX exposed. I'm too afraid to lose it, so I don't even expose it. Hey, T-Hex has a question out here about Rackham's $1 million debate challenge. I read it very superficially, so a very high level. Just keep my opinion. I like the idea that somebody's doing something. You know, if people get excited about that and it brings some eyeballs, I think that's okay.
I think he's looking for a big name, right? Like, I don't think you and I could just decide we'll play devil's advocate and debate Richard. That's not what he's looking for. He wants, he wants Joe Rogan or some well-known character.
It'd be pretty epic. It'd be pretty epic if we did like a tag team on Richard in a debate, guys. Nobody say anything funny in the chat. But if we did like a tag team on him. Because he would just thoroughly trounce us and demolish us into little pieces. Probably. Yeah. Well, you might survive. I probably.
I've seen those debates. It's almost always very single-sided. I think the only one who could hold a candle to him any of those debates was probably Eric Wall, and I'm pretty sure they're actually buddies.
Yeah, maybe.
But some of them almost seem like setups, like. He made the other guy look so dumb that it seemed like this was some sort of setup to, but it wasn't the case. The other people were like actual influencers in their own right and, known characters. And yeah, they did not win those debates. They looked really dumb. I don't really relish that opportunity.
Most of them did seem pretty dumb. Hey, you know what? Macho says, he or she is here, motivated by the tech. We're here for the tech. We're here
Yep,
for the tech.
indeed.
You know, that's a good question to ask you. You know, there are a lot of people building some pretty cool things. I don't know which ones are going to come out and work the best and all that, but you got the Validator X people building LPX, which is a market making bot that people can participate in. You got our buddy Stu out there with the Tetra, you know, still building.
Yep.
You know, a click and drag. AI related. I say AI, it's not quite AI, but it's a configurable platform that you can
drag and drop strategies like you can deploy in the blockchain
Yeah.
automatically. It's a pretty cool concept.
You know, you got our Piteus buds out there, rolling pretty heavily with the new modules. I don't think we see them or know that they're coming out the way they come out, but like behind the scenes, they've been upgrading their site. So Piteus is like on like middle of implementation on some of their V2 stuff, meaning their version 2. And then in the future, they've got like a whole AI trading platform planned, right? Which yeah, they've been planning that for a long time, but it probably sounds a lot like some of the things that the guys over in UpX and Validator X are doing. And then maybe one that you could really speak to. I keep seeing the 0x Coast guys post about Tide.
Yep.
And Tide being the fork of Balancer V3, which is pretty exciting. I'm not sure. I think I would figure out how to use it, but I'm not sure I'd be able to figure out how to use it without some help. But man, the features that are built into that are wow, they're next level, right? And
the
so
features are pretty cool.
What's the gist there? Is that something that's coming soon or?
This is just my feeling, not like an official comment, but I'm pretty sure like to implement Balancer V3 properly on PulseChain, you would require some of the Ethereum upgrades that have not been pushed to PulseChain yet to be able to parse that data properly to have a good user experience. So I feel like, you know, those guys are gonna, you know, they can build in the background, but they're not going to be able to deploy until we have, you know, a couple of those ETH upgrades, at least 2 of the 4 that have not happened yet, and then they'll probably be able to release that, because like that's one of the things with PulseChain is we're missing some of those pieces, and so that it makes it a little bit hard for builders to implement the newest thing like that, right? Or you have to find some sort of workaround, like even for 2Fox, which was a fork of Aura Finance, which is more or less a fork of Convex. Like we had to redo some systems. Like it couldn't just be an exact fork, because like there was no like voting system on PulseChain that they would have used. There was just some missing pieces that required the devs to do workarounds, right? So, but something on the scale of Bouncer V3, I think that would be an issue that may not be overcomable and still have a good user experience. Maybe you could do it and it would be really slow. I'm pretty sure they don't want that. Those guys are probably willing to pay top dollar to have a top product. But I am looking forward to him doing it, because yeah, it would be pretty cool. That being said, the difference between Balancer V2 and V3 for most users isn't necessarily going to change the game. For stable coins in particular, though, it could be good. I think that will be the real win, because Balancer V3 is pretty solid for stable coins.
Well, with that particular protocol, because of the tech, I am excited about it, because, you know, like this is my interpretation. Don't know if these are facts, right? But my interpretation is I could put up a pool and be like, hey, I only want this pool to trade when the Asian market is up. I could set up my pool so it can only trade when the US market is up.
Yeah.
You know, so I can create blackout periods. I could do, you know, I could do different fee structures dynamically. I mean, there's just all these little things that it'd be really hard to get my head around this. I don't think it's like for the normal user, right, to do this. But
yeah,
you know,
normal users won't do any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, I mean, it's complicated enough, even though it's only pushing buttons, just to figure out how to use 2Fox, right, and Fox.
Indeed.
Without, you know, because like even if you've done LP before, you kind of get it. You're doing the 2, but look at all the stupid questions I had for you. They weren't stupid, but I mean, you know, I feel like they're stupid questions. I had like a million questions about how do you set up a PHUX pool.
Totally. Yeah. And like there's nuances to that I'm still learning. And some of it is just general market making stuff like, okay, how do the fees in a pool affect how it interacts with a DEX aggregator like Pitius? And like, I'm still playing with that. But there's definitely a tendency for people to like the simpler things. Sometimes I wish I knew that before we deployed the most complicated thing that there is on the Pulse chain. And really, as far as code, I think 2 fucks pretty much is that. But I'm still happy that it's there, because I think those, the super users are going to come in and they're going to look for like, okay, where's the balancer fork? Where's the convex fork? Right? Like if we get adoption from Ethereum, guys with big money, they're going to look for the tools that they use on those chains. And the closest thing we have to Curve right now is the Fux exchange. Which would be balancers more or less Curve v2, and yeah, that's where it's at.
Nice.
Though Curve still has an edge on some stablecoin things. I think they have proprietary code. People can't just copy it.
Very good. Well, Briz is here to help us with bribes. Doug says he needs a beer. I don't know. I hope that's not in response to us. Macho saying, I think you can also borrow from your Validator X as well. That may be a module that's coming in the future. I don't know that it's out now.
Interesting idea.
Gotten that, but yeah, it kind of makes sense because they're doing vaults and all sorts of other things. But go to their website, get a chance and check it out. They have a lot more information up there, probably more descriptive than I could possibly give it. Dukaboos, good to see you. All right, digital money markets. Here's a good question. Let's see. So much gatekeeping by exchanges and ranking sites. Yeah, that's always been the case, hasn't it? Now by the Ethereum Foundation listing of holders. We are the best kept secret in crypto. Let's start with the last first. I think we probably are the best kept secret. And I think it is. It's too bad that a lot of people are going to miss out based on that. As far as being gate kept, as Maddie reported not too long ago, there was a response. It was Maddie that told us this right before, right? That they actually responded. The Ethereum Foundation responded and said they were going to correct the problem.
That was me, and it wasn't the Ethereum Foundation. It was the. Let me find my.
Whoever it was that had done it.
My post about it here.
But that's the kind of behavior we want to incentivize. You want to incentivize, hey, this was a mistake, because people do make mistakes. I mean, you just don't know what you don't know about it. Could they have done more work? Yeah, maybe. But yeah. So I don't know. That might be a good sign that maybe the gatekeeping is down or not there.
Yeah, it was the strategic reserve .xyz, and yeah, Richard posted that and said, "Hey, you're missing something here," and the guy responded, Fabda.eth, who's the founder of said site, responded saying, "Oh, I'll fix that for you. Send me a DM." So hopefully he did, and Richard would be number 2 on that list if they update it properly. So it'd be Ethereum Foundation, followed by Richard Hart, followed by Coinbase, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, you probably look at that strategy as being maybe positive that people don't know. maybe
I think that was true, but now I think I want people to know. I want everybody to know.
Fast wants everybody to know. Fast. All right. Now, what do we end up with for a? We end up with for a title here. Thumbnail: PulseChain outshines ETH with massive pump today. Did it go up more than ETH?
Well, let's look at the PLS to ETH chart.
You want to share something on the screen? Now that I'm here.
Oh, you got the buttons. Okay, good.
I got the buttons. Yeah. I'm not just a pretty face.
Okay, let's share some screens. See if I have the tech to figure this out. Okay, let's go with this one.
Woohoo.
Okay, so we have PLS to ETH. Oh, I'm looking at the daily.
Sure, that's not the PulseChain ETH?
Oh, it totally is. That's why it's 1-to-1. Okay.
Yeah, like I'm looking at it like that looks pretty flat to me, man.
Yeah, why is this so flat?
Why are you promoting those PRCs, man?
Well, I think that PRC is pretty safe. That's just minted by a DEX. But okay, let's find actual pulse to ETH. I'm just going to use this the Ethereum chart, the one that's on Ethereum. It won't have as much data, but it should be correct. There we go. Wow, definitely some movement there. Can you see that?
I can. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like. Yeah, let's add some percentages here.
Kind of retrace a little bit too.
Yeah, a bit of a retrace, or ETH pump. This is the rate of Pulse 2 ETH. So up from recent low, up 4.75% versus ETH, whereas it would have been up 10% at the top of the pump today. Now, of course, ETH has had a good day too, so that is actually bragging rights when we have Ethereum itself.
Yeah,
it did a decent pump up to what, $2,700 today. Oh, it's over 2,700 now on PulseChain. Let's see.
Yeah, 4K is going to come so fast, man.
Yeah, Ethereum's up 10% itself today, which is huge for Ethereum. Like, that's a lot of financial energy.
It feels like it was just yesterday. ETH was at 1,500.
Yep, that would have been a buy, wouldn't it? Actually, if you were a leverage trader, this was gold. If you got in on this, like you could have taken leverage at 1,500 and rode it up to 2,700. I am not a leverage trader. I think it's a terrible plan.
Mm-hmm.
People get wrecked, but some people are pros. I think that is a tool for the pros. Some people do well.
Oh, Marcus is asking a good question. You know, I'm not the great guy to answer this. Maybe you can answer it. Can we not adopt the new Ethereum upgrade? I don't like the idea of using every coin for gas fees. Wouldn't that make Pulse less valuable? Or do you guys like the Pectra upgrade? I'm not that. No, I don't know either, man. I didn't even know that was a thing.
I know that we, when we do upgrades, we have to do them in order because they build on top of each other. Right? So we're 4 upgrades behind right now. So that this most recent upgrade is not even a problem for us. We could, we have 3 more upgrades that we could do without touching that one. So yeah, not an issue. As far as like leaving pieces out, I think is dangerous because a lot of the upgrades, like these guys, like the Ethereum Foundation or whoever's doing the coding there, they're planning years in advance, right? Like, and it's like they have hundreds of guys working on this stuff, so they'll have things that build on top of things that build on top of things. If you skipped it in one upgrade, you might have trouble with the next upgrade coming down the road that we don't even know about yet, but they do. So I would think that if we were going to do Ethereum upgrades, which we could do, but we don't have to do, like PulseChain works fine, upgrade not required. But if there was a benefit and we wanted to, like for the the benefits for some more complicated protocols that could run faster, then yeah, we would be ill-advised to skip certain pieces of it. In my opinion.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you need to have the forward compatibility, right? Because whatever the next set of changes are, might be so different that you can't implement it now. Not
exactly.
without lots of coding or something. We don't want to do that.
And then
I say we. I'm not part of the team, so. But I'm thinking, wouldn't want to do that.
But there's a huge benefit in being able to take like basically free upgrades from $1 billion company, right? Like why not?
Yeah. Well, in the software industry, we would usually try to stay on track with whatever their their product roadmap was.
There is a huge benefit to running a little bit behind, though. I think we're a little too far behind. I'd like to see at least some of those upgrades go through, but like we get a chance to see what happens over there. And if it's terrible and they have to put out a new upgrade to fix it, right? Like we at least know that and well beforehand. So, I don't mind being a year behind Ethereum. I just don't want to be like
that's still in early adopter in that language,
totally.
Versus bleeding edge. Bleeding edge can be a lot of fun, but a little bit dangerous.
High risk,
and can be a little risky because you don't know what could happen. But being an early adopter or fast adopter is not so bad.
Agreed. I do think we're going to get some upgrades at some point. That was like part of the design of PulseChain, is my understanding. It's like so that it could be upgraded when Ethereum has upgrades. Like Ethereum was our testnet, so. When those those upgrades happen on testnet, we can move them to mainnet. Mainnet being PulseChain.
Good deal. Good deal. Wow. All right, guys. You tell us. Put something in the chat that you might want us to talk about. If I go off on my own, I don't know what you'd be talking about. I'll start talking about all my little crispy experiments that I'm running, but not necessarily good for Matty Show to do that.
And we're like your experiments, but they may not be for the general audience.
Yeah,
there's children in the audience.
Yeah, they're children. We're Matty-less, so no Matty.
That's true. We have no supervision. I was telling you before you froze on the screen. Stop talking to me. Yeah, you were. Yeah, well, actually, you had a good post. It was just a crispy post, so I didn't know. I thought I was really just talking. I was telling you that I just started doing jiu-jitsu again, and it's been good, but I'm so sore. I mostly can't raise my arms right now.
Oh yeah. I've been using AI, with my workouts. I've been in the gym last several weeks. Yeah, I was telling one of the masterminds this today. Man, the AIs are crazy. What they can come up with. But anyways, yeah, like what you're talking about, I just not taking strict advice from AI, but just like working on different muscle groups and which way to do what, that type of thing. And anyways, been clarifying for sure. Working on the triceps hurts like hell, which explains why I never do tricep exercises. Because it hurts like hell, which explains why I need to do tricep exercises. Yeah. Let's see, Jake 3. Jake 3 says, fun question. How high can ink go this bull run? Well, we know that Briz is always right, and Briz says $1,000, but we really don't know. But we know it can go higher than 2.
It is one of the lower liquidity core tokens, right? So it's easier to pump comparatively, which is why at one point today we saw like a 29% pump on the price of ink, up to $2.12 or whatever. So there's definitely the possibility that it could go to a very high price, which would affect the APRs in the PulseX farms. So if somebody was deciding what to pump, they may well choose ink for that reason, if they wanted. If they want to incentivize people with those APRs.
And how would that affect ink printer?
In a positive manner. It had a positive effect today. The price of the print token, which is paired against ink in the main farmable pair, went up to a penny today, or over a penny. So it was like when ink pumped, then the price of the print token pumps, which affects the APRs of the protocol, right? Which is why we have like 29% APRs on single-sided staking of ink dollars, right? So like a higher price of the print token is going to do that. And then like on farming, print to ink is paying 121% right now. So higher the price of print, the more people are incentivized to use the protocol to mint ink dollars that they can use to get print. Just one of the uses, because it's a stable coin. But definitely the price of ink going up is good. Plus the when they use the protocol, and like let's say you put in $10,000 worth of ink, you take out $5,000. if the price of ink doubles, you can take out another $5,000 and still maintain the same collateral ratio. So people can use the protocol more with the same initial funds if the price of ink keeps going up. So if we see $1,000 ink, we're going to see like, whatever, $40 million locked inside an ink printer. It's really going to be an ink printer. It'll be printing a lot of ink if that's the case, just because usage will go up by volume, right? Like it'll be, it'd be fantastic.
Very good. Very good. Well, I think we hit our commitment of being on here for an hour.
We did it.
We did it. Yay. I don't know if there's anything else you want to cover. I mean, I'm continuing. I didn't do a stream this last week on Hexfire about the T shares, good old T shares, but yeah. I mean, things are pretty much proceeding as expected, up and to the right with T share rate. Demand for Hex is strong on the DEX, but not a lot of staking going on, overall, right? Still being faded. I'm probably going to be the last one saying this, but I still think in the game of collecting Hex, the way to do it is to stake. But I've been proven wrong periodically with this stuff, right? Because people are like, yeah, but Crispy, if you had sold the top here and bought the bottom here,
if you had a crystal ball, Crispy, you could have made more Hex than staking it. Just fire up the crystal ball and sell the top and buy the bottom. And if you do that perfectly, you'll get more. But it doesn't save you from yourself, right? Like human nature is there, and staking saves you from human nature. So to do moderation and maybe do a little bit of both of those plans could be the play.
Yeah. Jake, you are welcome. We try to provide knowledge and provide great streams. Ted Nelson, I think Magic 8 Ball told me when I checked that the chances are good that Rabby and D-Bank will reverse its rectal cranium inversion.
I think they might be mad at us.
They might be now.
They suffered some damage to their ratings when they removed support for PulseChain.
Yeah. That's what you said. Yeah, look, this guy Pulse Jitsu said that too.
I don't know who that guy is.
And we have one more comment here at the bottom, then we'll wrap up. But so, what do you think about the plan to bridge all the Titan X coins from ETH over to PulseChain to make a liquidity web and thin supply on ETH for Jake V1 BNB and to take advantage of RHOA address? That's a very long sentence that I don't fully understand yet and haven't seen anything about this, but I think a vampire attack wouldn't like that. But I do think that using PulseChain more is good, and having more liquidity on PulseChain is good. But I don't know what you're talking about with the
if they're talking about bridging over Titan X and pairing it with PulseChain assets in V2 pairs where they have to have both sides, they got to buy some Pulse, they got to buy some Hex, whatever they're going to pair up, so that in hopes that when those RH assets pump, it will bring up the price of their token. I think that's a valid strategy. I think people should be careful of what, of vampire attacks, like you said. We've seen that many times in the community. Somebody will come in and try to lead you astray to a new chain, a new thing. But I think people, capturing that opportunity to pair assets against RH tokens there's nothing wrong with that idea, and it could work as far as price improvement for whatever token you pair. I'm not talking about Titan X specifically, just any token you pair against an RH asset. If that asset does a 10x, it's going to pull the price of the other token up with it. But you need to have both sides, right?
Well, let's talk about that a little bit further too. I didn't mean really to suggest that Titan X is or whatever this is like some vampire attack. Just generically, I don't like vampire attacks, of course, right? Yeah. But let's think about this. If I have a token and I bridge it over, just like you just said, so I just reemphasize that, I bridge it over onto PulseChain, somebody's got to put up liquidity. in order for there to be any effective drainage, right? Which means they're putting up their value. And so unless they got a whole bunch of tokens for free that somehow magically tap into value, the person is going to get hurt, or the suppliers of the LP. Now, if along with that whole itinerary, there's some sort of like big pump because people get excited about it and throw a lot of money, yeah, of course, right? Those are the people who lose the money because they'll be the ones pumping it into the LP pools, right? So you have that. And Beached Whale I think Beached Whale is saying, hey, dip catcher, good job. I don't know. Hashtag dip catcher.
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah. I've heard people continue to talk about dip catcher and the potential for this L2 off of Ethereum, and the L2 effectively would be using ETH as gas, right? And so that's out there. So when I talk to him about it, listen, it's DeFi, so he can do what he wants to do. I don't see myself a use case for running after that right now. But typically, and because what the hell do I know? But I mean, well, why would I not want another side chain on top of ETH?
Like anything that locks up Hex is not necessarily bad, as long as it's not lost, or like there's no hack and stuff like that.
But why do it? So from my perspective, of course, the audience of eHex are people that probably have Hex, right? So it draws attention away from Hex and PulseChain, and then like I would rather it be, instead of it being like the default, hey, it's going to lock eHex, it's a good thing. I would rather it be functional, like there's some functional reason to go do this, but I don't know what that is right now. But yeah. But I know
I'm not sure either.
I
just don't like the sort of political style smear campaign that they've done to promote this product. Like, if they can make something good, then make something good, but you don't have to, attack other things in order to make your thing good. If your thing's good, it should be able to stand on its own feet, and there's no reason to call down the competition or create competition out of the hand that fed you, basically.
Well, there was a lot of that today, right? Isn't that what happened?
Yeah, that's the discussion.
Yeah. So I guess we're not qualified to really talk about a Beached Whale, but yeah, I get your feeling that it could be negative. Some people would feel that way too, along with you. Okay, my friend. Well, let's go ahead and wrap this up, everybody. It kind of feels like we're out of sync without Maddie here.
Maddie is the glue that holds us together.
He is the glue. Well, listen, it is his landmark show, and
it is.
While we do get a chance to talk on it, he pretty much has the idea of what he wants things to be like on every show. So it's not too crazy. Not too crazy.
But we did it. Right. The show went on.
The show went on. Maddie, I made a bad joke. Hopefully he got wherever he was going safely. Hopefully he feels better, Maddie. We hope you feel better. And with that, Mr. Fast Abdul, I guess everybody knows how to find you, but how do they find you?
Well, on Twitter, they can find me at Fast Abdul, as seen on the screen here. But also via several websites, most notably 2phux.io or inkprinter.com. That's incprinter.com. Links to the Telegram rooms. I will never send you a private message or a DM. Lots of scammers out there. Everybody be careful.
All right. And you can, of course, find me at Hexfire.io on X and on YouTube if you're looking for me. All right, everybody. Well, thank you very much for coming. Thanks for listening. We had 850 views on this channel this way. You're restreaming to your channel. You probably got some more out there. You guys want future content, drop comments, for Maddie after the show. And we'll see what's up. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
All right, everyone. Thanks a lot. And we're out. Oh, yeah. Stake wisely, my friends. Stake wisely. why.